Alright, so now we're going through my personal futurism exploration and how I see each one of these images and what feelings it evokes for me. This first image, to me, the drastic lines and sharp contrast between the green and the blue create a very pleasant presentation. I find that it makes me look at and think of it as possibly a field, or maybe somewhere in the outskirts in the country, maybe a differentiation between the sky and the ground, but that's what this one makes me feel. The next one is more of a direct kind of looking into the sky, maybe through a specific lens. The coloring is more leaning towards just one direction of view, which is kind of to the upper right corner, and it's a very narrowed view, which is very interesting, between two green sections surrounding the middle blue section. So this one is more of a muted feeling compared to the other one. This one is more direct. This one is more muted. This one is more of an expressive, defined, kind of more detailed perspective of what it is and where it is and where the defined lines are, and kind of more of a let's set things to this place or that place. I find it gives me more of a defined view. I like the darker colors both on the green and the blue, and the lines and the sweeps throughout this image are clearly identified as to where they are and what they're doing from my perspective. The next one, it's more of an introduction of a different shape into this color scheme and color palette, and it's kind of a center focused green with a whitish blue, almost a cyan hued center, surrounded by more of a cyan blue. And it's kind of like arcs, exploring arcs. You know, you can see this as maybe a reverse of this image, maybe in more of a defined and controlled space, whereas this one is more of a wider kind of open to interpretation view of what things are. This one is kind of trying to define itself as to where the boundaries are. Now this one I really like, because I like the way the blue and the green kind of mesh, and the presentation is amazing. This is a very pleasing image. I immediately am drawn to this image, and I immediately find it very pleasing to look at as far as how the light and how the colors interact in this image. I find that it kind of brings me to an actual world of where this thing was painted to look perfect. And it's definitely a striking image. Now this one, to me, seems more like a landscape mixed in view, where the greens are definitely kind of trying to become something. We don't know what they are, but it's kind of like an out of focus view, top down maybe. The reason I'm interpreting it that way is because of the way things look. They're sharp yet out of focus. They're defined boundaries yet they're kind of blurry as to what they are. It's a very interesting image that's been output, and I would definitely be interested in seeing what it actually is trying to interpret. But again, this one is more of an artistic, and this one is more of a blurry presentation of a possible actual, maybe some kind of a, I don't know, copy of something, some image, some view, some presentation. Now this one is more of a blue to green, I guess, contrast, and it's exploring the colors within their boundaries, yet meshing in the middle to kind of explore what they can do within the realm of what is available. This kind of image to me is more of a, like I said, it's a mesh. So it's not anything that's got, it looks like it has defined boundaries, but it looks like the boundaries are kind of everywhere and nowhere at once. And what I mean by that is you can see the blue and the green kind of appear and reappear in different parts where they're not supposed to be when you look at the image, so those parts stick out, but then they also mesh in because they're defined and shown in a way where it kind of makes them kind of mesh in the areas that you would think that you would want them to be in. This, again, it's interesting. It's not as pleasing as some of the others, but I do find that it's kind of like a very, architecturally defined lines and curves have certain space that they flow in and certain spaces that they're not going to be in, and it seems like this image has done that. And it may be something that it's exploring the colors, their boundaries, and how they interact within one another, and it's very interesting to see this kind of image. I find it very pleasing, and I would definitely, it would be something that I would put in my wall and look at. It's a very, very pleasant kind of presentation. And so with this, it's kind of, I wanted to explore my view of these kind of futurism based images to see how they are, what they look like, how the colors interact, what shapes and colors and how things all mesh together. But I found it interesting, and I thought it would be something interesting to put into words and kind of explore.